There is a lot of pressure on a lot of people, and that's probably the case for you as well. Many people feel pressure from all directions, from other people, from their jobs, from their families, from the society, and even from themselves. And today I want to make sure to remind you of that and to make you aware of that so that you can look at what kind of pressures you are experiencing in your own life. Because when it's too much, when there's too much pressure on you, you can easily feel the stress of it. So first, let's look at the pressure that you may be putting on yourself. Plenty of people do that. And look, there's a big difference between having certain expectations for yourself and having certain standards for yourself and what you do and the quality of your work and how you conduct yourself. There's a perfectly fine it's a perfectly fine thing to have those expectations and to have a certain amount of pressure on yourself for performance in different areas of your life. But it's when that pressure becomes too much and it no longer serves you as a catalyst or as inspiration, as a way of forward movement for you, when it starts to become detrimental, when it brings unnecessary stress into your life, that's when it becomes problematic. So it's important to remember that balance. Many of us put more pressure on ourselves than others do, and that's true for so many people. But again, it's about knowing that balance. What kind of pressure serves you, regardless of the source? What kind of pressure serves you, helps you to keep going, to move forward and upward, inspires you, keeps you moving? And what kind of pressure is too much? What kind of pressure becomes detrimental for your experience and the end results that you are otherwise seeking? The same thing applies when we talk about pressure that is external to us. So it's not us, it's not you who are pressuring yourself about certain things. It's the pressure that comes from others, whether it's our families or friends or society or your employer or your school, whatever the case may be. So there's pressure that you put on yourself, and then there's pressure that others put on you. And again, both have to have a certain balance. Others can have certain expectations of you and put some kinds of pressure on you in a way that serves you, that keeps you motivated, that helps you to perform, that keeps you moving forward and upward. And that's fine. But the difference, again, it's the same thing. When that pressure is too much, we lose that balance, and the pressure is no longer helpful, but rather becomes detrimental. So it's so important that you realize the different pressure that you feel, whether it's from you, it's internal in its source, or whether it comes from others, whether it's external in its source. Does the pressure that you're experiencing serve you? Does it help you to grow and become stronger and move forward? Or is it so much that it's detrimental, that it's not good for you, that it's breaking you down, that it's bringing nothing but stress into your life? Once you're able to truly identify that, that allows you to do something about it. Whether you have to tell yourself to back off with the pressure, or whether you have to communicate that to others, wherever the external pressure is coming from. You have to be able to discern whether this is helpful pressure or not helpful pressure. And when it's not helpful, you have to be able to get that pressure relieved from your life. Get that away from you. Get that diminished or lessened or decreased in some way, that it's not harming you, that it's not detrimental. it's all about balance. And when things get out of balance, that's where stress increases and becomes worse. So it's so important that you pay attention to the pressures in your life, the source of where that pressure is coming from, and whether or not that pressure is serving you or whether it's detrimental and destructive to your experience and it's just bringing more stress into your life. And when you do this kind of assessment, you have to be honest with yourself. It's so easy for some people to say this is too much stress, this is too much pressure, when really they just don't want to do anything. They just don't want to take on a challenge. They just don't want to do the hard work for whatever reward, whatever growth or forward movement. There's a big difference between trying to escape or avoid any kind of pressure that would help you to grow and learn and move forward simply because you don't want to do the hard work, versus a truly destructive pressure that is no longer effective in moving you forward or helping you grow or become stronger, but rather it's really breaking you down. The flip side of that coin are people who are unwilling or unable to recognize destructive pressure for what it is and simply think that all they need to do is suck it up and keep going. There comes a point where sucking it up is no longer effective. So there's a lot of discernment that is called for here. So remember, as you're making this assessment in your life and you're reviewing the different kind of pressures that you're dealing with, remember, whatever your response to the pressures is as you review them, make sure you're honest with yourself in terms of, is my response a healthy one or is it a less than healthy one? Am I being lazy or am I being too hardcore, where being on either side of that extreme is not going to serve you? But knowing where your response stems from and knowing whether or not that pressure is a healthy type of pressure or something that's way too much, that's where finding that balance comes in. So there are several moving variables to consider here, but you can do this. It just takes a little practice and taking some time to look at your life, look at what's going on, and look at your own behaviors and responses. And before you know it, you'll have a pretty good assessment of where you are and what to adjust to be where you are if you're not there yet. If you'd like to learn more about a comprehensive approach to stress management, check out the link below.